A Ridley Scott directed historical war epic about the most ruthless military leader and one of the most tyrannical emperors who ever lived. This had top 5 of the year Best Picture contender written all over it. So why wasn't it? It was really racking my brain trying to figure out why this film wasn't working for me, and about halfway through, something really occurred to me. A lot of the time, the characters in the film are either telling Napoleon or just saying aloud how Napoleon is the greatest military leader that the world has ever seen. They spend a lot of time telling us that, but not nearly as much time showing us that. At the end of this film, the on-screen text says Napoleon led about 60-something battles, and it shows all the casualties, how many people died in every single battle that he led, and it led to about 3 million people dead in all of his conquests. Now, obviously, the film can't show all of those battles because it'd be a 7-hour-long film, but at the same time, I just couldn't help feeling like I was being a little bit shortchanged because they kept telling us how he's this amazing military leader, but barely showing us him actually being that in battle. There are battle scenes in the film, of course there are, but there's about 3, maybe 3.25. And the battle scenes themselves are really good, especially the one at the very end in the third act. That was actually fantastic. It had the entertainment and the spectacle you can want from a Ridley Scott war epic. I really enjoyed all the battles. I just wanted to see more examples of Napoleon being this ruthless, tyrannical emperor of France that I've always heard that he was. But the majority of the focus of this film is between him and his wife, Josephine. I understand that Empress Josephine was a huge part of Napoleon's life, and there's definitely interesting things they explore in their marriage, mainly towards the end of their marriage when they figure out that Josephine cannot bear him a child and they go through the divorce. And it was quite interesting to learn that Napoleon really did love his wife very, very much. It's just he loved his country and being the emperor of his country just a little bit more. So the fact that she couldn't bear him a child and bear him an heir kind of outweighed his love for her. That was actually kind of interesting, and it added some interesting complexities and layers to Napoleon as a person. The events that this film portrays feels like a basic summary of Napoleon's rise and fall from power. So it's kind of like the cliff notes of Napoleon's reign as emperor, if you will. And there's a part of me that just feels like it's lacking in depth and lacking in information. I know Ridley Scott is talking about doing a 4-hour cut of Napoleon on Apple TV or something, so maybe that could fill in the gaps, but I have no desire to watch a 4-hour version of this because the 2-hour 40-minute version, there was parts of it that were kind of a bore. It's weird. The events that they depict in this film are interesting when you think about them and interesting when you read about them. Like if you're in some kind of museum or reading a history book about Napoleon and you're reading these events, you're like, okay, that's interesting, that's interesting, that's interesting. It's just watching the events unfold, how they're depicted in this film. It just comes across as kind of a bore and kind of flat. Sorry, Ridley Scott. You can come at me, shout and scream at me all you want. I just found your film to be kind of a snooze for the most part. I really hope you find that Martian magic again sometime soon.